Hi, my name is Sheridan. I'm a yoga teacher and coach, and this is my alopecia story. So, I have never told this story. I've never shared it with anyone but a really select group of friends and family, and even some things that I'm about to share might be a little bit new to them as well. So, I've been feeling really called to share this. As a part of my own healing, my own journey, it's really important to talk about this stuff. And also because I started sharing pictures of myself bald on Instagram maybe almost a year ago now. And I was really overwhelmed by the response that I was getting, and people have been so encouraging, and they've been just really amazing. And I've been getting messages about how I've been helping people, inspiring people, helping them feel like more comfortable, more confident. And I want to keep doing that. I want to help. I wish that, everyone's journey was full of inspiring events and everything like that. So yeah, that's why. I remember, it reminds me of when I was young. There was a lady who sold me my first wig, and her name was Martine. And for me, she was that inspiring, bold, confident, full of love. She wore her wig and then she didn't, and she had this big smile. And I am kind of having this full circle where I'm like, oh, I can be just like that. I can help someone else. So my intention with this story is to recognize that it's hard and it's challenging and it's difficult to accept, and it makes you angry and sad, and there's hope and there's inspiration and there's ease and there's confidence, and there's all of that waiting just around the corner. It all starts when I am just about, when I was younger essentially, maybe anytime below 7. And I'd always been known as the girl with the long plait. I had a really long plait, a really long braid at the back of my head that I would wear a low braid at the bottom, and it would be done every single morning. And I loved my really long, shiny, thick hair. I remember that it was a little bit different to other people. People would comment on it a lot, like, oh, you have such long, beautiful hair. And I had my hairline was a widow's peak. So it pointed out a little bit, and people would always comment that on it as well. And oh God, Sheridan, you're so beautiful. Look at your beautiful hair, etc. I loved wearing it in a long plait, and I loved getting my hair plaited. One of my favorite memories was my mom had taken me on a cruise, and I was sitting and I was getting my hair braided, and we were watching a movie, and it felt so good, little tugs in your scalp, and it was just so relaxing. And then I was probably 7 years old, and my mum always took me to the hairdresser just to get some of the ends off every couple of months. So we go to the hairdresser, and at one point I could feel kind of her hands just on a piece of skin that felt really more exposed than usual, and I was like, oh, that feels weird. And then she runs over to my mom in the corner of the salon, and I instantly knew that there was something wrong. And then everyone comes back and they're looking at my head, and I had a bald spot about the size of a 50-cent coin. Over the next few years, we went to the dermatologist, we tried all the treatments, we did everything, and this experience of having the treatments was actually really difficult and confusing, because there was this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed little kid in me that was like, it's fine, it doesn't matter, I'm not any different anymore, it's okay. But then I noticed that all the adults around me, they were like, oh, what's happening? Oh, we better fix it, we better fix it, we better fix it. This combination of having to fix it and also at the same time not telling anyone, because I didn't tell anyone and I wasn't encouraged to tell anyone. Actually, I felt really sad, and I felt really confused, and I felt really embarrassed. And my hair kept falling out, and we tried that celiac disease, and my mum bought that awful gluten-free bread, and I tried to eat it and I hated it, and she tried. She did everything to help me. Every single thing that she could. And my hair kept falling out. and I kept feeling worse. And it honestly just felt like my body was against me. So the treatments aren't working, my hair's falling out, my body's against me. And it looked like it was time for wig shopping, which I hated. There is this core part of every human that just wants to belong, right? All we want is to belong. We want community, we want to belong in a family. And wig shopping had the exact opposite effect. Wigs for kids, I think are less common. I think they're hard to find. That was my kind of feeling, especially being in a smaller town, or not a smaller town, even though it feels like it, especially being from a smaller city in Australia. We didn't really have, I don't feel like we had that many options. It was 20 years ago as well. Wigs weren't exactly where they are today. I remember all the wigs like looking like they're for ladies, like looking like they're like this cute bob that like your aunt who's 50 years old would wear. I don't know, maybe ones that I like now. Yeah, I felt like they were really, really hard. And we would go into the store and it was mostly for cancer patients. I believe it was next to the hospital. And I remember feeling like, why isn't there a store made for kids? Like, why is it very clear that a kid will never come in here? And why is it mostly for cancer patients? Because what about me? Like, am I really that different? Why me? Why am I the different one? Is there really not a place made for me and for my needs? As I moved on, I got these like hip hats which were like bulky and hot and synthetic hair, and you wore like a bandana on the top. It was awful. I don't think I even have a picture because like, ugh. But as I moved on, I actually kind of, I think I said to my mom like, okay, I'm ready to get an actual wig, and I'm really I remember being really, really tired of the treatments, and I was like, this isn't gonna change anytime soon. So I'm ready to get a wig. We're gonna look into it. She had already done her research and everything. So we went for it. I think I was 13 when I got my first wig. That was when I met Martine, the brave and the loving and the strong and like the hopeful and just loving. And we were in a hotel room because my wig is a vacuum wig, and that meant that because I had little pieces of hair still, we actually had to shave my head, create a silicone, create a mold. I think it was like paper mache, create a mold of my head, and then with that they created a silicone base so it fits my head exactly. I do remember that they were like, oh, what type of hair would you like? And I was like, I don't know. I haven't thought about this in like 7 years. What? Like, I don't know. I remember I did. A wig was at that point going back to normal, right? It was still trying to reclaim who I was before this awful event happened to me. So we took a clipping of my biological hair, and the wig that I got matched it perfectly. So I did do the treatments for a couple of years more. They did not work. My hair got really, really itchy. It was really uncomfortable. I had to miss school to go to the dermatologist. Like, I hated it. Not to mention, like, that's around the time that you're going through puberty, right? And entering into high school, and like, everything became so much harder. Entering into high school and going into puberty are hard in and of itself. It's difficult. So adding a chronic illness onto it, it gets a lot more complicated. I think that I remember just feeling like super different and embarrassed, and in puberty it definitely felt similar to when my hair was coming out, because I wasn't really excited to go into puberty. I just wanted to be a kid still. And it really felt like watching my body change was very similar to watching my hair fall out, in that I didn't ask for this, so please make it stop. Every year, the amount of hair on my head would lessen, and every year I would feel sadder, I would feel more ashamed, I would feel more confused, and I would feel like more frustrated. I remember distinctly being in physical education in PE, so I'm from Australia, and the summers are hot and dry, but you still have physical education PE class. And something that was really common was like running around, like after thing, whatever, the kids would just grab the drink bottle and like put it on their face, or like go to the bubblers and like splash their face and put it over their head and like just cool off, because it's very, very hot. And I would just kind of hide because I couldn't do that, because my hair didn't really allow that, or I was worried the way that it would sit, someone would know. I was still trying to hide it from everyone. I was very, very worried. Sleepovers were nerve-wracking. I think probably I avoided some of them. I don't know, they scared me a lot because I didn't tell anyone I was wearing a wig, and it meant that I would have to sleep with the wig, and it was just practically impossible. As the years went by, the one thing that was really constant to me was that I was bald. I was not pretty, I was not cool, I was not like the image represented on the magazines that I read at the time, like I think it was like Teen Vogue or whatever. But I had this confusion because the boys at the school, they liked me. There was like, we used to have like milk cartons in it, and they would like want to give theirs to me and stuff. Like the boys, the children at school wanted to spend time with me, and I was confused. Because when the whole world tells you what is pretty, and what is pretty is that you're slim and that you're kind of strong but you don't have any muscles, and that you have long, beautiful hair and perfect skin, and you're not too tall but you're not too short, and you have the right amount of curves, and you have like the cool Roxy pants at that point. Like when everyone tells you that this is what is attractive, if you're different, then you definitely don't feel attractive. And the only thing that I learned was attractive or cool or successful was someone who has hair. So I kept my wig a secret, and I felt more ashamed, and I got older, so I started having problems with my body image, with my eating. I would have some really, really disordered eating practices. And to be honest, the older I got, the more pressure I felt to really have everything figured out. I felt like I was becoming an adult and I had to choose what I wanted to do, and everything was my responsibility now. So that means that like I had to know something. I felt a lot of pressure. And when I looked in the mirror, if I couldn't even recognize who I was, because I didn't really recognize the person in front of me, like that's not me. I have hair. I felt more and more pressure, and I get upset thinking about it. The one thing that was always key was that I was keeping this condition of mine a secret. I didn't really tell anyone, like my family knew, and I think that was the first thing that really had to change. So I really had to change, and I had to start conceptualizing myself as someone other than the person who wears a wig and it is a secret. So in part 2, I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Part 2 like brings in some of the themes and undertones from my childhood into my adult. We talk more about my adult life, my young adult life, and this is kind of, it's a lot more hopeful because this has been heavy. And it really allows kind of like the magic to happen, to shine through. And so I think that you guys really, really love it. It's definitely kind of more of my favorite part of my story to tell. And yeah, make sure you're subscribing so you can actually check it out. Press this little button down here if you haven't already. My name is Sheridan, and thanks so much for being here on this journey with me.